Welcome to the Esrati Report. I'm David Esrati, and you don't want to be me. Subscribers to this channel know that I've spent a lot of time video recording public meetings and putting them up on YouTube for all to see. The Dayton Public Schools School Board of Education, the Montgomery County Democratic Party, the Wright State Board of Trustees, candidates' nights, even the library board. There's a reason for it. In Ohio, as in many states, we have a set of laws, the Sunshine Laws, which contain the Open Meetings Act that makes it a requirement for public business to meet in public, with a few very defined exceptions. And all of those exceptions can only be taken under consideration in a meeting announced and concluded in a public meeting. These laws are the only ones that come with a 250-page handbook, which I should be holding up right now, but I left in my office. It's called the Yellow Book. It's written in plain English to make sure that the knuckleheads we elect can figure it out. Speaking of the knuckleheads, they are required to undertake a public training every year on these very laws. Before the advent of video cameras, public bodies were very careful. Some even used to make sure that the doors were open to City Hall, even in the middle of a snowstorm when a public body was in session. They wanted to make sure there were no questions of meeting in a private, the smoky back room that used to be the place public business was done. These laws went on Ohio's books in the mid-50s. They aren't new. They're there to protect you and me, and yet public bodies continue to ignore them. In fact, they do all kinds of things to avoid complying, and it's time they stop. Some of the tricks they use are to have a work session or review session where they say they don't actually vote on anything, but deliberation and discussion takes place. There are no legal provisions for these kinds of meetings in the Dayton City Charter, yet the Dayton City Commission continues to do this because they don't want you to see how the sausage is made. Other boards do things like split up into committees and try to meet in smaller groups, thinking they are being slick. This is another way of having to do the hard work while the public is watching, or by delegating their work to a committee of outsiders, which should be grounds for removal from office for abdication of duties. But alas, it's not. There are other rules about meeting round robin, be it by email, phone, text, or a series of meetings with a single person. It's hard to stop these, but let's be very clear, they are illegal. There are also rules about a meeting of a majority of members outside of the public view, which is broken all the time by county commissioners and best friends Judy Dodge and Debbie Lieberman, who are often out in public together. It's a no-no, but people seem to have let it slide for so long that it became moot. It shouldn't be. Now for the universal truth. I can tell you about public bodies. The worse they are, the more they meet. Competent leadership doesn't require multiple meetings to discuss the same agenda. They don't need to split up into subcommittees or delegate to others. They take care of business themselves in an orderly and competent manner. This often means actual public discussion of the issues, questions of staff and directions with timelines for responses. It's sort of like what happens in the corporate boardroom, where the CEO is on the hot seat and the board demands clarity in plan and action. Another part of this whole public meeting thing is the publishing of an agenda and minutes afterwards. The good organizations never have a problem doing this, often with at least a week's lead time. This shows they are prepared, forward-thinking, and not reactive. The bad organizations can't manage this simple step. Some think they need to pay for software as a service called board docs. This is a waste of money. Most don't use it properly. Data isn't searchable, and it's not mobile friendly. And last but not least, we have the public comment section of the meeting. Good organizations welcome public input and actually respond with a summation of the issue and set a response plan. Bad organizations worry more about cutting off the citizen and getting out of their meeting. If you are evaluating public bodies, something else to look for is public access to the meetings online. In days of old, we counted on public access television to broadcast the local commission meetings. just like C-SPAN covers Congress. What used to be an expensive technology burden can now be done with a simple digital video camera and later uploading to YouTube at minimal cost, like what I do. If you want to get fancy with multiple cameras, there are affordable remote cameras, control rooms, or even open source options like what I use to broadcast this show. There is no excuse for not recording your public meeting and uploading it to YouTube, unless you've got something to hide. Notice, I keep mentioning YouTube, not Facebook. The reason is that Facebook is a walled garden, requiring a membership to access content. It also doesn't come up in search, the same way that YouTube does. YouTube is the second leading search engine after Google for good reason, and it's not just because Google owns YouTube. In terms of ADA compliance, YouTube even makes a rudimentary automatic closed caption so deaf people can watch your meeting. I was planning on talking about this issue today even before I saw the article on the front page of the Dayton Daily about the jail task force canceling their public meetings, instead meeting in private subcommittees. Look at their reasons for doing it. Hint, they're all the reasons the law is there in the first place, to stop that kind of doing business in back rooms. There's one other issue to address besides the fact that your local public body should be publishing all their meetings online, in video, preferably live, is that there are too many public bodies in this county, making it harder for people like me to act as a watchdog over all of them. It's an intentional tactic to take power away from us. Remember, we're supposed to have a government of the people, for the people. Live video recordings that are archived are part of the way we can keep our politicians honest and our governments ours. Let me know what local body you think isn't making public access great in comments. If you like this form of haphazard entertainment via the inner tubes, please like and share on YouTube. If you don't like it, feel free to give it a thumbs down all you want. In fact, please subscribe so you can smash every single video I produce. We'll try to do this every day, around the same time, tell you all the news that's news to the Dayton Daily News and the local TV stations. For now, signing off and sayonara, this is David Esrati, the most dangerous man in Dayton, reminding you that a little knowledge can get you in a whole heap of trouble.